Welcome to Brigadoon Radio. I'm Brendan, and today we have the founder of Brigadoon. We're here in Sundance, Utah, with Marc Ross.
How you doing? Happy to be here. Number 7, I guess.
7 years, you had this idea, and you wanted to convene a gathering of people from a lot of different disciplines. It's not like any conference, and you don't even like to call it a conference. Talk to me about Brigadoon.
Yeah, I mean, it's really evolved. You know, this is the 7th one, the 7th time we've gathered here in Sundance Resort. I mean, the idea generally was to, like, can we get a cross-section of subject matter experts from different disciplines to have some really good conversations with no PowerPoints, literally sitting by a fireplace like this and having some good conversations, some good chats. The other interesting component, I think, is that people spend 2-3 days together in the mountains. They're going hiking together. They're going skiing. We have some great networking dinners. So it's a real mashup of different events, but really unlike any other event that I've ever been to, in the sense that it's really low-key, high-touch, a lot of people getting to know one another.
You know, I'm a media person. I make content day in, day out. And the thing is that I've found, the people who I have learned the most from are people completely outside of my disciplines.
Yeah,
Talking
absolutely.
about
I mean,
doctors
right.
and entrepreneurs from the tech space and from the policy world, and they are giving their ideas and just their take. And when you sit around a fire, when you sit, up in the mountains, it's, how do we look at the world? It's not, can we network with each other, sell each other?
Yeah, this is a very untransactional environment. I would say people that come to this event really want to be, it's really more about transformation, not so much convincing other people about your ideas, but learning from other folks and really having your own mind changed. We think about, we're both from Washington, D.C., very interesting place, a lot of smart, interesting people, but obviously 95% of the people we deal with are dealing with public policy, and I felt that I was missing a connection with other folks, so there must be other ways to get people together, and as you say, learn from other subject matter experts.
I like it here, the further you drive into the canyon, the bars on your phone go down, there's no service, and you're just forced to sort of talk to each other. You've compared it before to you're sitting on a chairlift with someone, and as you just head right into the mountain, you got to come up with some way to relate to that person.
Yeah, the thing about Sundance, the combination, obviously, I think the event idea of bringing together, entrepreneurs and thought leaders to talk about emerging issues that are shaping commerce and culture is super important. But there's no doubt the venue here at Sundance Mountain Resort is super special. What Robert Redford has created is, completely unique. Not only is the cell service completely dodgy, there's really only one coffee shop, there's one bar, there's only a handful of things to do, and it really forces collaboration connections that you probably don't have at other events. If we did this event in Indianapolis or any kind of big city, San Francisco, there's so many other distractions that would pull people away. I don't think Brigadoon would not be what Brigadoon has become.
Without picking any favorites, as far as actual people, what have been some of the people who helped really shape those conversations by bringing just a very unique viewpoint? You had someone once who was a spokesman at the CIA. That's a guy who's seen some things, and to hear him now talk to a group of people, and in some cases share stories that he was just legally allowed to finally share. That that's an opportunity like no other. This year in the 7th year, you've got the president of Christie's auction house. So
yeah, no, the idea is really, I can't really tell you how we've been so lucky to find these amazing people, but really the idea is really to focus on issues that are coming to the forefront. And I think we've really prioritized finding speakers that are really up and coming. We don't pay for any flashy people that are on TED Talks, people that are on Shark Tank. They're not going to be at this event. We're looking at the next generation of leaders. And also the topics that are going to be really driving the narrative that are going to impact business and commerce and culture in the next 2 to 3 years. So if you look at, I think what's been really interesting, we had a diplomat from the British Embassy talk about Brexit. We had a cannabis entrepreneur. This is years. If you go back 2, 3 years ago and look at where we are now, we were looking at issues that we knew were going to be front page news. We had the marketing team from Atlanta United. A year later they win the MLS Cup. So really having this cross section of interesting folks, we've been really fortunate, and people have responded to it.
You mentioned Robert Redford. When he built the resort, he wanted to look at sustainability. He wanted to look at, just the same ideas that you had. He wanted to build a haven for this kind of cultivation. Obviously, the Sundance Film Festival was born here on
Right.
the Sundance Resort before it moved to Park City. Have you ever seen Bob Redford?
I have not, but apparently some other participants have. Maybe year 8, I'll see him.
That that would be a time maybe we'll write him a letter and ask him to come on the podcast. Are there any other stories that you think really highlight this experience?
I think the big thing is, are you curious and do you really want to check your ego? I think there's a lot of strong personalities here. Frankly, everyone who's attending this event could be leading a session. There are plenty of partisan folks. I mean, this is a very nonpartisan issue, but I want to stress that this is a really smart, dynamic group of people. But somehow they've been very collegial. They've checked their egos, and they're really willing to learn. And I think that's what's made it a big success.
You've heard that expression, all chiefs and no Indians, but that usually relates to conflict, and somehow you've managed to cultivate a group where it is people at the top of the field and they want to relate to others at the top of different fields.
Yeah, I just think, from a marketing perspective or communications, we've been very transparent. We've just said up front, this is the event. These are 5 things that are going to happen. It's very cut and dry. Either you want to be a part of it or you don't. I find people that ask a lot of questions, frankly, about this event, they're probably not the right person. I mean, if you can't find value in hanging out at a world-class resort at 8,000 feet in some of the most majestic mountains in America with dynamic thought leaders and entrepreneurs, if that's not a big enough reason to come, then it's probably not the right event for you, which is fine.
Well, I don't think we can sum it up any better than that. We will see you next time on Brigadoon Radio.
Thank you.